Hey there, I'm Allison from She Dreams of Alpine, and I'm here today to introduce one of my best friends, Ashima. And she's probably one of the coolest girls that I know, and I'm really lucky to have met her. We actually met back when I had just moved out to California, and a few years later she ended up joining the same company as me, and we met at our jobs. And I remember thinking, like, she's kind of cool, like, I was like, I think we could maybe be friends. And at the time, I think I was a little bit, I was like a little bit desperate to find some like closer girlfriend connections because I hadn't really met a whole lot of people. And I asked her to book club randomly. And
our first date.
Yeah. And she said yes. And I was like, okay. And then, we were talking at book club, and I was telling her how, like, I like to do a lot of hiking, and I like to do stuff like that. And she was like, I'd be down to go hiking.
I was down.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I remember that I think I asked her for the first hike. I was like, well, I was training, and I was like, well, I do these hikes at 4 a.m. before work. Would you want to come? And yeah, you were like,
I was like, yes, with some hesitation. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yes. And so that's when I knew. I was like, I didn't have to convince her very hard to go on a 4 a.m. hike. I mean, granted, I don't think she knew what she was getting herself into.
Probably not at all.
Because the hike that I did was this, like, 1,800 feet in 1.8 miles. So it was like a pretty steep hike. It's just like a quick sufferfest.
Yeah.
But good training and like quick enough to do. And it was close to our work. And she went with me, and I remember it was like, it was horrible at first, but like, that's when I knew we were going to be friends because you didn't like, you were into it. You were like, that was hard, but I would do it again.
I almost puked, but I would do it again.
Yes, and I was like, oh, this is the beginning of a good friendship.
And it was. Here we are 3 years later.
Yes. And I have notes with me because I'm really not.
And I have no notes. I have no idea what she's going to ask me.
Yes.
Unscripted.
But the real reason I got Ashima here today and wanted to talk to her and interview her for you guys is because I've been really impressed with her transformation as a person and as a hiker and backpacker. Because when I had met her, I feel like you were just kind of getting started in the outdoors.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've, like, completely blossomed, and we'll kind of dive into that soon. Not just as a hiker and backpacker, I mean, just in general as a person. But I feel like that speaks to the power of what outdoor adventure can have on your life and kind of, like, the confidence it gives you.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you feel that way.
100% true. Definitely agree.
So, what was your first bigger outdoor adventure that you went on? Ashley?
Yeah, to give some context to everyone on my background, back in college, I was probably 25 to 30 pounds heavier, like super inactive, very sedentary lifestyle, just studying all the time. And I spent rarely any time outdoors. It was mostly time in the classroom. Only until I started working did I really, want to be more active and actually found more enjoyment of being outside.
Yeah.
And I suddenly had this desire to really keep pushing my boundaries. I just, out of nowhere, I was like, you know what, let me try and do harder and harder things and try and actually grow. So, do some day hikes every now and then, very casually, like 3 to 4 mile hikes with very little elevation gain. But I suddenly had an opportunity to hike Half Dome. A friend of mine and a neighbor of mine, he actually had a few extra permits and, for some reason invited me to go along. And Half Dome was the biggest, hike I had ever done at that point. And I was terrified.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was just thinking, like, that's kind of my starter story.
Yeah,
Half Dome was my starter.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I always think it's kind of funny when you have, like, parallel, like...
Yeah.
But
Allison and I have very parallel tracks, honestly, and now we're very similar.
Being sick of being scared to do something or saying no to things and, like, just being like, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to be the person that says yes to doing things that I don't think I can do.
I said yes without even thinking, honestly. As soon as I found out you had permits, yes, I'm going.
So, how was that first hike for you? Like,
oh,
do you
so,
remember it?
yeah, I was so nervous. I was going with, some people who were pretty fit, who hiked a lot, who were not scared at all about doing this hike. So I definitely was scared of being the slow one in the group or the one who wouldn't be able to complete the whole hike or, too scared to go on the cables and complete it. But I really trained for it, and I made a plan, and I really put in the time to, get a little bit more fit in the cardio sense. And the actual hike itself was amazing. Don't get me wrong, I suffered.
Yeah.
I suffered. But it was
accomplishment.
Amazing. Yeah. I just felt like this sudden sense of like, pride for once, and that was super addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're like, I can't remember, were you training, or did you know you were doing had you done the Half Dome hike before we met, or?
This was as we were starting,
we were meeting and like hiking.
As we were getting into the friend to best friend zone, So
I invited you on Jar Trail, and you're like, "Well, I need to train for Half Dome anyways."
And you're giving me tips. You're like, you need hiking poles. You need this gear and that gear. So you were giving the tips.
I like really wish. I don't know why. I don't think you had enough permits. That's probably why you didn't get to go with you guys.
Yeah,
that's
it.
I'd already been before. I can't remember. But what did you do after Half Dome? Like, what was your next like bigger thing that you went on?
So after Half Dome, as I mentioned before, I really wanted to try and hike harder and harder things and climb taller and taller peaks. So after Half Dome, I believe I had my eyes set on Mount Whitney, if I remember that correctly. So for those who don't know, Mount Whitney, that's the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states. It's near Death Valley, and it's about a little bit over 14,000 feet. So that one, as you can imagine, is very, very challenging.
Was that the same summer as Half Dome, or did we do that one Sykes Hot Springs backpacking trip?
Oh, you're right.
That?
Yeah, you're right.
No, I just don't remember. Like, if you did Whitney in the same summer, or did you do?
So yeah, it was Half Dome one summer. The next year we did our backpacking trip.
I think it was the same year.
And the same year I did Mount Whitney as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was my first backpacking trip with you, which also was a very, daunting task because I never had to carry my life on my back. And
she did really good.
But she's not telling something very important. She embarrassed me in front of a bunch of people.
I was like, all taking her under my wing, and I was like, don't worry, I'll teach you all of it. And I have extra gear, I'll give you all of it. And I was like, we want to be, it was the purpose of, we want to keep our bags light. And I was like, keep light clothing, like you probably only need like one shirt, And I show up to the backpacking trip, and I'm like, where are your hiking clothes? And she's like wearing flannel. Like, flannel is like the heaviest thing you could probably bring. She
ousted me for the flannel.
And then
I thought it was like the best choice.
No, I mean, she's super cool. She looked really good. And then she pulls out all these apples. She just had like several whole apples, and I was like, "Are you bringing those with you?" And she was like, "Yeah, I love apples. I love apples." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we'll have a lot of work to do." But
she made sure she shamed me in front of many people first.
She proved me wrong, though, because I think I actually started bringing apples on my backpacking trips.
Refreshing.
Yes, because it is refreshing. And also, she's done, like, really hardcore shit now, and so I can't give her crap about wearing flannel, because she'll do it with the flannel. Also, something really hilarious is you bring heavy stuff. Every time we go backpacking, I'm like, there's no way her bag doesn't weigh more than mine. Like, every single time we'll weigh our bags, and I'm always like, I have the light gear. My bag's gonna weigh lighter than hers. And we weigh it, and her bag is always like 5 pounds lighter than mine.
I don't know what it is.
Always.
It could be some magic, some voodoo, whatever it is. The weighing scale just favors my bag.
I'm like, how is that possible? You have like 10 apples in there.
Those 10 apples aren't 5 pounds. I don't know.
But, I mean, that trip was really fun, like, for a lot of reasons. Because, like, Lincoln got to go, too, which was really fun. But
Lincoln, her dog, yes.
Yeah, my dog, sorry. I mean, most people know, probably if you don't follow me on Instagram, you don't know Lincoln, I guess.
Yeah.
But I remember that night. So Sykes Hot Spring is like a coastal backpacking trip in California. And if you know California, no, it actually doesn't really get that cold, especially on the coast. It's kind of warm.
Yeah.
But it was like late fall, so it was cool. But I gave her like all of my warmest gear. She wore like this giant down jacket that I have inside of a down sleeping bag that I had, and and a beanie. And I remember looking at her at night, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are we at Everest Base Camp?"
And I said yes.
We are. And she was so cozy.
We were.
But like, you did so well on that backpacking trip.
It was a perfect introductory backpacking trip because it was, I think it was like 2 days, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was about 2 days, and it wasn't super high mileage or elevation gain, and the sights were super beautiful, and that's when I really, really thought that, okay, this could be a lifestyle, change. It could be something that I adopt permanently rather than just from time to time.
Yeah, and like you totally took it from there, because then, like you said, you started working on, Whitney was your next big goal.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the biggest addicting parts of it. There were goals that I could, set and work to achieve to and accomplish, and then, which fed into additional goals that were, harder, or better, or whatever it may be. So that was, that's what fed into the need to keep, hiking and backpacking and whatnot.
And she did summit Whitney.
I summited over 2 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did summit, and we were trying to basically run down the mountain to run away from a thunderstorm. But it was still a great time. No one was hurt. Yeah.
I just remember like being super impressed because I thought I would have to ease you more into the outdoor backpacking. I was like, I really didn't want you to hate backpacking. So, like, the first trip, I was, like, trying to, like, carry all the extra weight. I was like, I need her to like this.
She really took care of me.
But you, you loved it. And then, the next thing I know, she's doing, like, all this crazy stuff. and when weekends, when I couldn't go with her, she was, like, finding people to go do things with, which is really awesome.
I will say, like, I don't want to make it sound like it was super easy and this was like an immediate transformation.
Yeah.
It definitely took time because as I was getting more into this, I was still shedding off some excess weight and trying to get stronger and, feel more confident that I can hike with, some of the faster people or stronger people. So, there were like some struggles as I was adopting this more as a lifestyle. But what really helped push that through was that I just felt really, really good when I was outside.
Yeah.
That's when I really felt happy, and I just couldn't wait until the weekend so that I could take off to the trail.
Yeah. It's like even when we're not happy on the trails, we're happy.
We know we're happy inside.
We're kind of miserable, but we're like still not.
Yeah, as some people describe, it's like it's type 2 fun. You won't be. It's not like eating ice cream where you're like enjoying it immediately. But after the fact, you look back and you laugh, and you're eating pizza. And you're like, oh, that hike was great.
Yes, yeah. That reminds me of Ashima keeps being a badass and keeps like training and getting better and honing her skills. And then she tells me one year that she wants to go mountaineering.
Yes.
And I was like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
And we decided to do a guided tour because she didn't own any of the gear.
Yeah.
And I mountaineer, but I haven't led a whole lot of mountaineering trips, and I didn't want to be like responsible to teach her all the proper like glacier techniques that she would need. And we decided to do Mount Shasta because that's another California 14er.
Yep.
And that trip was that was fun. That was a suffer fest for both of us.
Yeah, so I would say, climbing Mount Whitney felt like a huge accomplishment, and it was extremely difficult, but mountaineering, I think that's a whole nother level of difficulty that I was not expecting. Allison would definitely try and warn me and say that, this is going to be hard and a lot harder than a backpacking trip or a normal hiking trip. because now you have a lot more gear. You're on a glacier.
Things can be scarier.
It can be a lot scarier.
Yeah.
You have an ice axe and a lot of equipment that you're learning how to use.
And you have to wake up usually really early in the
Alpine
morning.
starts,
Like,
yeah.
I think we started Shasta, or our summit push was started at midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there was so much to get accommodated to. And I was terrified. I'm not going to lie. Like, there were a lot of times when we were making our summit push where I didn't trust the equipment right, and I thought I would fall off the cliff and, have to self-arrest and, I'd fall to my death in a crevasse or something.
But I love, like, even in the moments that you were terrified, like, we would just be like, Ashima, you're fine. Like, you're doing great. And you would keep going. Like, you never got paralyzed with fear, which I think is, like, really important. Like, you were expressing your fear, but, like, pushing through it.
Look, there's two things there that really help me out. One, I kind of go into these trips with the thought that, quitting is not the first option for me. Of course, safety is, like, something I always think about, but quitting is not the first option. I really want to at least try and push as much as I can.
Yeah.
To feel like that I gave it my all.
Like, you don't just want to quit because you're scared.
Yeah.
Unless if it's unsafe, that's one reason to quit.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Not because of fear. And then the second thing is it definitely helps to have a friend or someone else who's doing it with you, because you kind of feel like you're accountable to, like, keep going, because if you turn back, then that friend also can't summit.
But that was, like, the same for both of us, because I hadn't really been training, and she wanted to do this peak, and I really underestimated Mount Shasta, so I didn't train very hard for it. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being, like, a ton of elevation gain and very little mileage. And I remember back and forth, me and Ashima, just both back and forth, were like, I'm done, I'm out, I quit.
And then it would be one of us cheering the other on.
And then she's like, no, you can't do it, you can't quit. And then we'll, like, go for a while, and then the next one, she's like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And then, like, we were so close to the summit, and I remember both of us looking at it like, no.
Maybe not.
I don't think it's worth it.
And then we're like, no.
But then we did it, and it was great. Until we came down, and then coming down was horrible too.
Yeah, but it was still fun. Okay,
but it was great.
Yeah, it was still great. We were so proud.
Yes,
but it also sucked.
That was a really hard peak for some reason. I think it's because we didn't train very well.
Not even that. I think it actually was just that it's a hard peak. That's also the matter of fact.
Yeah, it's like not a very technical mountaineering route, but I think we underestimated. I think we just didn't train very well. Because we were just tired the whole time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
So, but that was a good one.
It was
a good bonding experience. You were, like, very done. By the end of that trip, she didn't talk to me until after pizza. Like, we were going down, and I kind of get a, like, runner's high sort of thing at the very end of things. I'm like, we just did that. That was awesome. And I'm like asking her to what on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think? Like, and I'm all excited. Yeah. And she was just like,
I was not ready to talk at all.
But then I think you started to understand, like, that's how mountaineering is sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, it's I now know how much of another level it really is. Yeah.
So what has been, like, one of your favorite backpacking trips that you've done so far?
Wow.
I know that's a tough question.
Yeah, there's so many great ones, but
I don't even know if I'd be able to answer this, but I'm gonna make you
Raised
answer.
Lake.
Really?
Raised Lake.
Wow, I'm surprised by that. Like, I really liked Raised Lake too.
Oh no, there was something about Raised Lake that was just intense beauty at every turn.
Yeah, Raised Lake is
really amazing cool. Alpine lakes just casually, on the side of your trail.
Yeah.
Really amazing campsites and sunrises and sunsets. Like, I just really look back on that one with a lot of good thoughts.
Yeah,
good
that
memories.
Was like a more chill one too. Like,
it was. You didn't go too high up.
It's hard, but it was, like, not too hard.
It's very doable.
Yeah.
And it was about 40 miles, right, in 3 days,
something like that.
Yeah.
So okay, do you have, like, a favorite memory from any of your backpacking trips that you can think of, like?
Sure.
Something that you like.
Suffering.
Something that you look back fondly to, or, like, that you're like, I don't know, feel like sinks into your brain.
Allison always makes up random songs at any point that she can think of.
She's like the only person in my life that appreciates it.
I love
That's probably why we're friends.
Yeah, we basically have like a whole soundtrack of random songs that she's come up with. So like, for example, at Ray's Lake, she saw a lake named Dollar Lake and starts like making up a rapper song.
No, that was a song.
It was a real song. So,
dollar. That one.
Yeah. So
also, it was really dark, and Ashima was scared there was going to be bears. It was when we were hiking back to the car. We left really early.
Yes, yeah.
And we were, I wanna be on the.
I'm not singing.
Ray's Lake.
I'm not singing.
Hiking around with our poles and backpacks.
I'm not gonna sing.
I'm not.
Wait, let me turn it on you. What was your favorite memory? My turn to interview.
I know, it's really hard. Oh, well, I mean, just one that I can think of. Recently, the backpacking trip that we went on with Rudy and Patricia, we did Half Dome. We did Half Dome again. Yeah. So I made her go back and do it again.
All over again.
But we were backpacking from Yosemite Valley all the way to Tuolumne, because I've been kind of linking up the JMT just section hikes over time, and so we were doing that section, and we did Half Dome the first day, and as we were coming down from Half Dome, we got to Half Dome like a little bit before sunset, and there was nobody there. Yeah. We were the only people on the dome, and it was like a Saturday.
It was awesome.
And I didn't even know that was possible. But then when we came down, I mean, it's kind of sad because I think the sunset was so great because there were fires in the surrounding area, but it was probably the most beautiful sunset I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And I got so amped. We had been doing I think we had hiked 15 miles that day and over 6,000 feet of elevation gain, but I was just like, I could go all night. Like,
I was on a
high. So energized.
She was high from nature.
Yes.
Honestly.
It was so awesome. I was like, guys, this is why we do this. This is it. And I just felt like really connected.
She essentially found the meaning of life that night.
I felt like I wanted to hold on to that moment. I don't, you can't ever hold on to a moment, but like
it was a great moment for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, I got we have a lot of great memories, I think.
Oh yeah, we have. I think I never look back on any of our backpacking trips with like a bad taste in my mouth or anything. All of them are like, man, I wish I could do it again.
I want to do this all the time.
Yeah, honestly. We loved all of it.
Okay, so here's one for you. What do you think is the hardest thing you've ever done outdoors?
Besides Mount Shasta, I think I still come back to like the first biggest hike I did, which is Half Dome.
Okay.
Just because I was coming off with like no foundation in hiking or fitness or anything, and to jump from nothing to Half Dome, it's like going from 0 to 100. So I think I just look back and see that jump to be one of the largest leaps I had to take.
Was it fun? Like, I know for me, it was fun going back to Half Dome this year, because Half Dome was my first backpacking trip in California. It was fun comparing the two.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being so slow the first time I did it. Like, I think we did it in half the time.
Oh, yeah, we killed it.
Yeah, then I did that first time.
Really modest here, but we killed it.
I think we felt real good. Yeah. We were like, this trip is going great.
Well, on top of that, we had to wake up and hike like 16 miles or however many miles the next day. Yeah. So, I mean, that shows how much we've like really progressed.
That's the thing. Like, I think when you get started backpacking, it feels like really slow progress. But I don't even like, now I'm at the point where I'm not even training really every weekend or every weekday.
Yeah.
You kind of like learn what your body can handle, and you understand how to manage the pain, or you understand like what pain is worth listening to. Maybe that's better to say it. You're like, because when you're first starting, you're like, I can't breathe.
Yeah,
and
honestly.
that feels like horrible, and you don't want to keep going. But then you're like, I can't breathe, and so I'm going to breathe smarter, and then you breathe smarter, and you can just keep going. You don't have to stop. Like, you just kind of learn how to do those things and manage your breathing, and you get stronger with time and stuff. But so, did you think Half Dome was even harder than like Kilimanjaro? This year she did Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. So honestly, no, because Half Dome definitely felt harder than Kilimanjaro just because I said I had no foundation.
Yeah.
And I was really jumping into something that people train a lot for. They're super fit when they do it. But whereas when I did Kilimanjaro, I already had like a pretty solid foundation of like cardio fitness and a slew of, mountains that I have already summited. So it definitely did not feel as difficult. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
And honestly, the first 5 out of 7 days felt really, really good
on Kilimanjaro.
Really, the struggle was on the summit day, which is
that's what you said,
intense. But that was really the only day where I felt like I had to kind of push myself mentally.
It was the altitude probably the most?
Definitely, because
you felt really sick, right?
Yeah, you're starting off right before summit push, you're camping at about 15,000 feet. That's what they call base camp. And then you're going to push up to 19,000 feet in one day. So just imagine in 3 miles, you're trying to hike about 4,000 feet. You're going very, very slow, and it's very cold up there. So you have the cold, the altitude, the lack of sleep, all of that kind of really hitting you at once.
Yeah.
And then just the mental aspect where you've been hiking for 5 to 6 days. And
you probably smelled really bad, too.
We smelled terrible.
I'm just joking.
No, we did. So, that's when I really felt like I had to kind of dig in deep.
Yeah. But I feel like all the experiences you've had before you kind of like prepared you for that moment.
100%, because now I was that much physically stronger, but also mentally stronger.
Yeah.
Right? So I knew what type of pain is okay to push through and what type of pain is not okay to push through.
Yeah.
And I learned that, a lot of it really is just mental restrictions that you do have the capability to push through.
Because your brain is always going to tell you, you're going to die, you need to turn around.
It's just protecting
you. The pain is too much. Yeah. Literally turn around. And that's why, on Shasta, we're like, I'm going to die. I need to turn around. And we'd be like, are you going to die?
Not really.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Just keep going. But that's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely recommend to all of you out there who are watching to definitely try, pushing yourself a little more, especially, climb Kilimanjaro one day. I think it's totally accessible to anyone who really puts their mind to it and trains for it.
Yeah. So what do you think drives you the most? Because at this point you've gone higher than me, and I feel like so the crazy thing is she got back from doing Kilimanjaro and she immediately messages me. She goes, I want to do Denali. And she goes, are you in? And I was like, whoa.
Whoa, girl.
I was like, whoa, Denali's a different animal, we'd have to really get serious about training, and we'd have to do put way more mountaineering routes under our belt and get real technical and really get serious. And I don't think your boyfriend wants you to spend that much time hanging out with me.
Yeah, I should spend some time with him.
But no, I mean, I just love that at the same time, because I don't know, what do you think what's driving you to want to do more peaks? Because you can also talk about, I mean, she's told me a little bit about some of her plans coming up. Oh, yeah. Oh, there are peaks that you're thinking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. You're like, I have no plans.
Which plans are we talking on here?
Yeah,
so in terms of what drives me, I think it might come to a personality trait.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just feel a lot of accomplishment from summiting these mountains, and I think that thrill or that rush of that accomplishment is very addicting for me, so it just fuels the need to be setting more and more goals. So really that's where the drive comes from, because that's where I feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so, whether it's hiking more mountains or taller mountains, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's something that is super, super exciting for me to think about and plan towards and, work towards.
Yeah.
And then in terms of, what plans I have for this coming year, we are thinking of hiking Mount Baker. I'm in Washington. So this one's not as tall as Mount Shasta, but it should still be a really great way for me to get back into mountaineering. I've taken a few years off since Shasta on the whole mountaineering front.
Yeah.
So it'd be great for me to like get back into it. And we'll see, fingers crossed, but thinking about climbing Cotopaxi. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Sorry, everyone.
I think that's right, Cotopaxi. That's
Yeah.
how I would say it.
Okay, don't judge. I'm so sorry. In Ecuador, which is above 19,000 feet and is quite a beast. It's not easy at all. I do want to attempt that next.
Yeah.
And as far as Denali, that's still, I'm not gonna, maybe I'll be able to rope her into it.
I'm not doubting you,
Yeah.
because so far you've done everything you've put your mind to. So.
And I'm gonna try. I'm 5'2". I'm a smaller girl, but I think I can climb big mountains.
Yeah. So, what do you think, like, being outdoorsy and adventurous has, like, how's it enhanced your, like, life outside of backpacking and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I feel like I've finally found something that I'm super passionate about, and back in college and early on in my early career, I never really felt like I knew what I really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how I wanted to spend my time outside of work, and I kind of was just wandering around aimlessly almost. Now that I found something I really know I love doing, and something that calms me down and I find peace doing, and accomplishment doing, I think it's kind of helped define some sort of purpose or fulfillment, which is really, I think that's really satisfying. So,
yeah, it is totally.
Yeah.
Is there any like outdoor adventure that you feel like is intimidating or off limits to you? Like right now, you're like,
no,
like you'll try anything.
I don't think I have ever really looked at anything and said there's no way that I can't do it. It's more of there's no way that maybe I just don't want to do it, but I don't look at something and say that I can't do it. Yeah. So
see, I like that with scuba diving. Like I'm just like I always had ear problems as a kid, and I'm just like I'm not interested because if my eardrums explode, I'll be like really upset.
Oh wow. I'm learning this about you. What? I have no idea.
No, I mean, like, because don't you know, like, when scuba divers, some of them can have their eardrums, like, pop, I think.
Yeah. Probably. You do have a big pressure differential.
Yeah, so that terrifies me a little bit. So I probably will never do scuba diving.
I mean, this is a fun fact. I never knew she was terrified about her ears popping.
I mean, terrified in the sense that I'll probably just never do it.
Okay. I mean, okay, if we're thinking of something that, like, that's totally off limits. Let's see.
I mean, your answer can be no, like, because I
honestly,
can see you saying that.
I'm trying to rack my mind for any answer right now. Yeah, I don't
like extreme slacklining.
Sure.
Like, across
the Grand Canyon. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe,
but she might do it.
Maybe there's that chance too.
Okay. What if you had like a favorite piece of gear that you like for backpacking besides flannel and apples?
Yes.
What would you say like is your favorite piece of gear, or like your must-have like item that you bring with you? Is there anything you love in particular?
This is gonna sound so lame. This is not even cool. This is not even like some cool outdoor.
Nalgene,
no, I was gonna say gum. I'm so sorry. Like, this is super. Yeah,
that is really strange.
It's a little strange.
But she always practices leave no trace principles with her.
Yeah. Don't worry. I make sure that
she packs it out.
Yeah, don't worry. But my mouth gets really, really dry when I'm backpacking, and sometimes you can't just constantly be chugging water all the time.
Yeah.
And so for me, chewing gum while I'm backpacking definitely helps, like, make sure that my mouth's not dry and that I'm not, like, drinking all my water all at once.
Yeah.
And, it's really helped. And I can't really hike without gum anymore. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a weird answer. Not any
I've
cool
never
piece
really
of
hiked
gear.
with gum, but I mean, if that works for you.
You should try it out for anyone who has, like, issues with dry mouth. Or if you drink too much water.
Yes.
Gum.
And, like, I think something that's else that really interesting about you is that, like, you're more frugal, and so, like, you don't...
Yes, she is cheap.
No.
That's what she means to say, I'm cheap.
So, like, I just meant, like, you don't have to have all the fancy gear. Like, she's been able to, like, slowly build up what she has and what she invests in, or look for good deals, and bring flannel despite what I tell her today.
Yeah.
Like, you know. But, I mean, you definitely invested in some of the things that help make your bag lighter. But you also recognize that, like, you're just building your gear with time, and, like, I just noticed that about you.
Yeah, I think, like, for example, if you see me in Allison's pictures, she sometimes uses me in some of her collages. You'll see that I always have, like, these bright pink or bright purple, like, clothes. It's because I buy them on sale.
She says it's because of clearance.
No, it's always on clearance. They always put those on clearance. So that's why I have, like, a fuchsia, jacket on.
She really just likes fuchsia.
No. But yeah, I think it is also important to invest in, like, some really key piece of items. For example, like the sleeping bag, the sleeping pad. Like, you want to make sure you get a good night's worth of sleep.
Yes.
So
especially her, she likes 9 hours. So we wanted to make sure, like,
absolutely 9 hours of sleep. That's necessary for me. Yeah.
Yeah, those are, like, the big things. I always, like, if you're going to start with anything, like, warmth at night is really important. And, like, I think people underestimate it. Like, they'll be like, it's so warm during the day, but it can get really cold in the mountains at night.
If you don't get sleep, I mean, then you're kind of screwing yourself over for the next few days that you might be backpacking. So, those are things that are definitely worth investing in. In terms of, like, the shirts and the base layers, for me, like, I haven't really, like, bought the nicest, like,
You're slowly, like, you bought some hiking pants you showed me today.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Like, she's slowly getting
there.
Slowly,
yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to come to a close, and before we close, I wanted to ask you one final question.
All right, let's hear it.
So if you had any advice to give somebody who was new to backpacking or wanting to get started backpacking, what would you tell them?
So, number one, if you feel like physically you're not capable, I think you have to realize that that's not a limiting factor, because you can change that.
Yeah.
Or at least, in most cases at least, you can work to try and change that. And number two, I think definitely try and find, like, a network of people who are interested in the similar things. That definitely helped push me to pursue this more often and discover that this was, like, a passion for me. I know it's hard to find like-minded people who are willing to spend a weekend without a shower and a toilet and a bed.
That's why I latched on. I was like, we're friends.
Yeah, maybe we have to cut that out. but if you can, or if you can, try and seek out a network, in person or online, I think that's still a great motivating factor.
And I think, like, your first point is really great, too, because I know a lot of girls, like, I'll talk to them and they'll say, like, I really want to get into backpacking, but first I'm waiting to lose weight. Like, they don't think they can do it because they feel like they need to reach some sort of, like, physical fitness level before they can start.
Yeah.
But I think, like, the best way to kind of get started on that path is just to get out and start doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's how I got into Half Dome, right? Yeah. Like, I was definitely, heavier and, not as fit for sure. Yeah. But I still tried to go for it just to see if I could do it.
It's hard because, like, I was in the same. I mean, I never really. I just was never outdoorsy when I got started, so I was always terrified of being the slowest. Yeah. And that was crippling. At first I wouldn't go with people because I was always like, I'm going to be the slowest one in the group and I don't want to be the slowest one in the group. And then finally I was like, screw that. I'm going to be the slowest one in the group.
And it doesn't matter.
And I found a friend and I was like, hey, I'm slow.
Yeah.
Will you, like, hang out with me while we hike and be slow with me? And then, like, eventually I got faster, like with time.
In the end, you're all going to the same point.
Yeah, and nobody cares. Everybody they all think they're the slowest people too.
Exactly.
Except for, like, some boys that are like.
I would say that's actually something that's similar between me and Allison. We used to, when we would go hiking, when we first got started, we'd go with a bunch of guys who were, like, a lot faster and longer legs and could just basically fly through the trail. And we would probably be like the sole female in the group, right? And so we would feel like we're slowing the group down, but in the end, like,
but we're like the tortoise. We would like we had the stamina where the boys would be like super tired, and we were like, we could go another 20 miles.
No breaks.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm tired, and we're like, we could keep going.
Honestly, yeah, we would.
But we'll rest for you guys.
Yeah,
but okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for doing an interview with me.
Of course.
And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And definitely leave us. And if you have any comments or questions, even if you want to like ask Ashima a question, I'll text her and I'll get her to respond.
I have no social
media. She's like disconnected from the world.
I'm off the grid.
But I can connect to her. So. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye.